What is going on, my crazy 76er fanatics, guys? Thanks for stopping back in for another daily pod with your daily 76ers discourse and discussion. The likers, the watchers, the commenters, and especially the subscribers, thank you guys so much. You help the conversation continue to grow, the channel continue to grow, and the Sixer discourse continue to flow. Thank you guys for helping this channel out so much. Now we got to get to it, guys. This Philadelphia 76ers squad, man, they are the beast in the East, and everyone else is looking like the least, okay? The Eastern Conference, the weaker conference, is the Eastern Conference, but the one team I think that can make it out and potentially compete with those squads out West, it's got to be Philadelphia, guys. It's got to be Philadelphia. Only because Draymond Green said that the only real contender out of the Eastern Conference might be the Knicks, and it's probably not New York. Without Boston being a real contender, he says it's going to be the West, who is known to be the best conference. With more competition, someone from the West, Draymond Green, says he's going to win the NBA championship. And I think Draymond is underestimating, also not anticipating how good, how great, and how loaded this NBA 76er squad really is. We'll talk about the NBA championship closer to April, but right now we got to talk about the NBA Cup. Because if they can win just a little bit of gold, if they can win a little bit, they can win a lot later on. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, the Philadelphia 76ers, they are in the NBA Cup with some really good teams in the East. I mean, in the offseason, you thought this may be a cakewalk of a conference, but now that you're looking in season, the Sixers have to play Boston, who are now on a 2-game winning streak and seem a lot better and a lot closer to the Boston Celtics we're used to seeing. They play the Pistons. Them Pistons are players. They know how to put up buckets. They know how to play intense defense. And you have Tobias Harris, who seems to have the one-up on this Sixer squad when they match up. Celtics, Pistons, Magic, who, listen, without Joel Embiid, this team did beat the Magic once. Maybe they can do it twice, and then they play the Nets. I think 3 of these games, Boston, Pistons, and Magic, are challenging games. Like, genuinely challenging games. And the biggest challenge is you're not necessarily sure who's going to be showing up for these games. Because this Sixer squad, as loaded and as much talent and depth as they do have, they're still dealing with so many injuries. Joel Embiid is still progressing and processing to being the beast and the MVP you're used to him being. He still puts up more points than minutes, guys. Joel Embiid is the only player in NBA history to have an entire season where he's put up more points than minutes. And with that being a stat, he may just do it again with the way this team is playing. When Joel is in, he's a bucket getter. He's a score-first center. When Joel Embiid is off of the court, this team is ripping, running, playing intense defense, attacking the fast break, protecting the rim at all costs. It's 2 totally different teams out there. And the reason you have 2 totally different teams out there is because the mindset of this Philadelphia 76ers squad has changed. Kelly Oubre went on to talk about the mindset from this team from last year to this year, and Kelly had this to say. Last year, I think the lineups changed a lot, guys in and out, but this year, I think Tyrese has been hitting it on the head. It's like no matter who's out there, we have this constant that we won't waver from. That goes into our culture and the things that we do on the daily basis. Kelly went on to say it's still early, because it is, but at the end of the day, man, if we can have the next man step up and or anybody come in there and be an impact to winning, I think that we'll be better off than we were last year. And that mindset is exactly why this team has been better off than they were last year. Sometimes Joel Embiid does play. It doesn't matter. They bring the same force, the same energy, and the same intensity. Sometimes Joel Embiid does play, and it doesn't matter. Those guys bring the same force, the same intensity, and the same energy on the offensive and on the defensive end. It really, truthfully does not matter. So can this team win the NBA Cup? I think, honestly, out of the East, the 76ers may have the best odds to win the NBA Cup because they have so many levels, so much talent they haven't even tapped into, and it seems to be working. It seems to be clicking. And most importantly, guys, the team chemistry seems to be off the charts. Guys who like to play together, guys who like to hang out with each other are teams that are closer bonded and are teams that have more chemistry on the court. It matters, it matters, it matters, guys. And something that's going to matter is who's coming back from injury. Because we're talking about how close this team is to getting some of their talent back. Well, how close is this team getting to some of the biggest talent on the squad back? Paul George is rumored to be coming back early November. There's some optimism and some optimists who think Paul George can be touching the court for Philadelphia in early November. Of course, and probably based off the way this team has been moving, based on the way this medical staff has been implementing players after and post-injury, it's probably going to be on a minutes restriction. If Paul George does return, it's probably going to be on a minutes restriction. But that's okay. Guys, that's fine by me. I hope it's fine by you because Paul George, the floor spacing, Paul George, the defensive stopper, and Paul George, the former All-Star, if you can get a fraction of that back, and I'm talking about a fraction that's not going to mess up the flow, that's not going to force shots, that's not going to make windows and try to create space when at this age and at this athleticism, Paul George is struggling to create space and make windows. If Paul George can just fit in with the scheme and the system that's already put in place, I would love to have any Paul George back. Are you kidding me? No, seriously. I would love to have any Paul George back. Are you kidding me? One bad year should not have us downing this guy's entire career. Paul George was an all-star. Paul George was also close to a 40% three-point shoot. Even on a bad year, Paul George can still shoot that three better than you and me. Paul George is a bucket getter, and if Paul George can come back and play, again, at a fraction of that all-star percentage and a fraction of that all-star usage that he was giving out there, guys, this team is only getting better because, again, it's next man up mentality. Even with Paul George on the court, you're not going to have the same Sixers scheme that you had last year, which was pass and watch people work. No, if Paul George is out there, guys are going to work around him. Guys are going to work with him, which should make his shots, his opportunities a lot easier than they were seasons prior. Another potential star is coming back, guys, and I call this guy a potential star because I think that's what he will be as his career continues. Jared McCain! Jared McCain is on his way back, y'all. The Sixers did extend his contract through the season of 2026-2027, so Jared McCain will be on this squad this year and in next year. Ain't no getting rid of Jerry anytime soon. But hopefully, Jerry does return sometime soon. Jerry was a full participant in practice. Nick Nurse has been commenting and talking. It seems like Jared McCain is one of the players that Nick Nurse is the most excited about seeing back on the court. Nick Nurse had to say about McCain's potential return. He has worked extremely hard on a number of fronts to get back in play. So I think from a conditioning standpoint, I think he's going to be in a good place. He's taken, as of the last couple days, lots of shots, high volume attempts, and he's making them like he normally does. I think it's still very early here. We got to get him in some contact, get him checked again, and all that kind of stuff. But he's making some progress. And if Jared McCain is making progress, and Paul George is making progress, you can only assume this team is going to progress and process for the better and be more winners. Am I right? How do you feel about that? Am I right? How do you feel about that? You think Paul George and Jared McCain throw a wrench in this team? Do you think Paul George and Jared McCain mess up the flow, mess up the chemistry, and mess up the offensive rating that so far has been so great for this squad? I don't think so, guys. I truthfully don't think so. And if you do think so, who should they trade for? Because right now, it's early on in the season. We all can agree with that. But there are some teams and certain teams where I don't care how early it is. I don't care how late it is. They ain't winning. I mean, you just know they ain't winning. And teams who I think could potentially start talking trades with, Toronto's 1-4 right now, guys. And it seems like, again, the chemistry we're talking about for Philadelphia, the excitement, the execution, the effort, Toronto just does not have it. If Toronto's going to start tanking, it would make sense to offload some of those tradable assets, tradable pieces. And for Philadelphia, the biggest hole on this roster definitely isn't the guard play. Based on what we've seen, it's not the center play neither. Andre Drummond seems to be reliable in those stints that he gets to play. Adem Bona is a gosh damn juggernaut. And Joel Embiid is an MVP guy, so I like the guard depth for sure. You know who they have. I like the center depth for sure. We just covered that. But that forward depth, guys, definitely need some improvement. But in the offseason, there was rumors about trading Kelly Oubre. I don't want to do that at all. But I will say there needs to be some help there because if Paul George does have another injury or Paul George just isn't playing at the all-star level that you would expect and hope for him to play, you need more depth at that forward position. Justin Edwards just isn't cutting the mustard. Justin Edwards is one of the most inconsistent players and shot makers, shot takers on this team. I would want more depth at that forward position. Toronto, how about we trade for Dick? Toronto, how about we trade for Grady, guys? If Toronto is really tanking, the most tradable asset, the most tradable piece they do have, the guy coming off the bench, Grady Dick, coming to Philadelphia, adding more strength and more athleticism and more floor spacing, true floor spacing to this forward position and to this forward depth. I think that not only helps out Grady Dick's career and potentially being a higher impact player, because Kelly Oubre is a great forward. Kelly Oubre has a lot of athleticism, but Kelly Oubre's floor spacing is still questionable, even though Kelly Oubre is shooting the three at a career high clip right now. Assuming it's going to eventually drop, assuming it's going to eventually revert back to Kelly's true shooting percentage, Grady could be a better option. Grady could be a better fit alongside Paul George. And defensively, Grady doesn't lose a step for this team. If Toronto's truly tanking, I would love to see Philadelphia make a few phone calls for some of those tradable pieces. Scotty Barnes may be a cornerstone and the focus of the franchise for that squad. Fair enough. If that's what they're into and that's what they're going to do, you can keep them. Brandon Ingram just may be a little too much and may not fit this scheme of the Sixer team because he's not a great three-point shooter neither. But I think Grady would be a great acquisition and a great tradable piece. If you have any questions and you have any concerns about Paul George's fit, about Jared McCain's fit, and about how these guys who will be joining this team, how they will acclimate with the new system put in place, I think Grady Dick would be great for Philadelphia. I truthfully do. But guys, let me know who you think this team should trade for because there are some tanking teams, and this is the time to call them. This is the time you should be calling those tanking teams to get some of their tradable assets. Some of their bona fide studs and big ballers, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me who you want to see the Sixers potentially acquire because Toronto, they've got some assets. Maybe Utah, maybe New Orleans. You guys let me know, guys. We'll be back with more Daily Pod. Hopefully, the Sixers will be back with another Daily Dub. Go Sixers.